back in Photoshop, we're going to talk about zooming, so moving in and out of your images in Photoshop. We'll talk about moving around once you're zoomed in. And then we'll talk about some image adjustments, image resolution, image color space, but that's all coming up in the next videos. In this video, I want to talk about zooming in and out. It seems like such a basic thing, but we need to know how to do it effectively in Photoshop if we're going to really get to do anything. So, I'm going to take you through a few different steps. First step is over on your toolbox, there is a button called the magnifier, the zoom tool. If I click that, my mouse changes into a zoom in icon. At which point, if I click here on man's best friend, or in this particular case, my best friend, and I click again, it just keeps zooming in, zooming in, zooming in. You'll notice though, if I hold down the Alt key on my keyboard, that turns into a minus sign and I can click to zoom out. For me, this is probably one of the most ineffective ways to zoom, is to use the zoom tool here by switching to it and then clicking to zoom in and holding Alt and clicking to zoom out. That's just simply, it's not effective. It's not fast enough by a long shot. So if you switch to your zoom tool, what you can do with the zoom tool activated is you can click and hold and drag to zoom in on an area. So I'm just going to zoom back out, and incidentally, to zoom back out quickly to your image, there's another shortcut called Control 0, or not called, Control 0, using 0 along the top, not on the number pad, because depending on your computer that won't work. So 0 along the top gets you back out to your full image. So with that zoom tool, I can click and drag, creates a box, essentially. That's the area I want to zoom in on. As soon as I let go, it zooms right to that area. So for me, that's a very effective way to zoom in on an image. And don't forget to zoom back out. Control 0 is going to get you there. Now, switching to the zoom tool is fine, but that's, again, it's one extra step. So I'm going to tell you another keyboard shortcut. I'm going to go to some other tool. Whatever that tool might be, it doesn't matter. But some other tool. And what I'd like to do is I want to use this tool, but I've realized I need to zoom in. So instead of switching to the zoom tool, zooming in, switching back to the tool I wanted to use originally, you're going to use a keyboard shortcut. And the keyboard shortcut is you're going to hold down Control and Spacebar with one hand. Okay, so hold down Control and Spacebar with one hand. Not difficult to do. They're not too far apart. And then you're on your zoom tool. So then with my mouse, I'm going to draw a box around the area by clicking and dragging where I want to zoom in. I'm going to make sure I let go of my mouse. And then as soon as I let go of Control Spacebar now, look at that. We're right back to the tool that I wanted to use in the first place. So let me do that one more time. Okay, Control 0 is going to zoom back out. So no matter what tool I have, I want to zoom in quickly. Well, I hold down Control Spacebar, I click and drag around the area I want to zoom in on, I let go of my mouse, I let go of my keyboard, and I'm right back on the tool I wanted to use. Again, to get out is Control 0, that's going to zoom me back out. That for me is the most effective way to zoom in and out in Photoshop. And if I got it wrong, let's just say as an example, I'm going to access my zoom tool here. And I zoomed in, let's say, too close for what I wanted. Sure, you could go ahead and learn the keyboard shortcut to zoom out, which would be Control Alt Spacebar, and that activates your zoom out tool. But to be honest, most of the time what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do Control 0, and then I'm just going to zoom back in on the appropriate area that I wanted to zoom in on in the first place. So there's lots of other ways to zoom in and out in Photoshop. Those are just the ways that I prefer. One other quick one for you, if you like to use the wheel on your mouse, is if you hold down Alt, again, this doesn't matter which tool you have, but if you hold down Alt and you use the wheel to roll in, it'll zoom in wherever your mouse is. If I hold Alt and roll the wheel out, it zooms out. So you can see, depending on where my mouse is where it's going to zoom into the image. So a lot of people like that one. I don't use that one. I hold down Control Spacebar to zoom in and zoom out. And don't forget Control 0 to fit the image back on your screen.